G'day guys and welcome to part 2 of the Patina XL Falcon build. Pardon me, just a couple of pictures earlier of the last car I built. This is just pre-COVID, it was put on the road. It's just mainly to show that I can think outside the square. You tell me how many street registered straight axle Falcon gases are on the road in Australia. Anyway, let's get on with this, guys.
Bit of a change of pace today. We'll just do a bit of gutting in the interior. Reason is, mate, this carpet is wet. And so I want it out now before it does any more damage to the floor. If it has, we don't know for sure yet. But it stinks. It's driving me mad. The smell. Every time you walk in the shed, it stinks of mould and musky, and I want it out. But look at the old bloody critters have been in it and that. But this stuff here, that looks original. It's that goes in under the space under the seat, but that's the back sort of firewall. That looks good. I'm hoping all that part of the car's okay, but the tank's under there. But that is original. So I'm going to try my hardest to save all that. But we'll get rid of all the mice and critters and that have decided to move in and see what our floor pans look like. Carpet's all out, guys. Very bloody dirty and that, but the pans aren't too bad. In fact, they look pretty good. That's all original trim. That's not original, I don't think. I'd say that's an aftermarket thing, but that bit of trim up there is still factory, as is the inside. A lot of rust to do up there. We're just going to pull the tank out, which is over there behind the seat. Those panels there that I was telling you about, they're original. Never seen that before. But we're going to, as I say, we'll pull the tank and then we can get right in there and clean all of that right out and have a proper look at what we've got. So that's going to be a job for the hose. Doesn't look bad along the top of the sills there on both sides. Yeah, feeling a little bit more confident now. I wasn't sure what was going on with a lot of this, but yeah, I think it looks a bloody disaster, but it's just cleaning. It's not actually that bad. So, and whoever owned it, I mean, the silly looking repairs they've done, they haven't done anything by the factory, but they've done good repairs, whatever it was, you know. So they haven't just used any bit of crap. So whoever's owned it sort of paid some sort of attention to it. Just screwing around with bits and pieces today, guys. Because I ran out of gas. I couldn't work out why my welds weren't coming along nicely. No bloody gas. So brought an end to that. These are these little inner panels. I've just given them a good sand with a bit of 400. And that's it. As I say, I'll put some of that fancy wax on them. And that's the finished job. I mean, it's you know, won't be everyone's taste. Having said that, you know, we gutted the interior, just rooting around with the petrol tank, and just took the sender out, and I don't think that's gonna work. But remembering from the last one of these I had, I bought a reproduction, and let's bung this over here and have a look. There it is. So, looking at that, looks pretty bloody close to me. Yeah, so we've got a brand new sender to put in it because, as I say, I just don't think that's going to work, and there's probably every chance the pickup's blocked. And yeah, I think we'll just put the new one in and be done with it somehow. Well, guys, now that I just got one more weld to do up there. Now that this area is all boxed off, I've just put some inserts straight through there, about 50 millimetres long for that width. Yeah, just insert so when I pull up the bolts for the bumper, I don't crush all that area. So yeah, so that's all pretty bloody solid now. As I say, I've got to finish off that weld up there and do the same thing on the other side. And then it can be all tarred off and de-rusted, rust-proofed and all of that, and we can start making some bumper irons. Well, that's them. Well, that's the other side done. Did I already show you that? Probably. Yeah, they're done. So now it's a case of coming out here with some irons and then right angles, and we're going to try and marry up with those two bolts there. I'll just put a blank in that. Try and marry up. So we'll just sort of make some sort of a bracket for that, and then that can have on right angles a bracket that way, which of course will marry up with those. So yeah, that hasn't come up too bad. Obviously got to do these, but as I say, I want to profile these to suit the bumper. So yeah, I can't do that until the bumper's on. So that's the next step. Fabricating some brackets for these bumper irons. It's a little bit of a hit and miss to get the angle right and the gaps right. So we're just tacking everything at the moment. I made up those just out of a bit of 35mm flat that I bent over and welded. That's the part of the main part that bolts to the chassis. I'm just going to give it a dummy run and see how it looks. Once I make the other side, then I can sort of bolt it in there and have another look. There's that one. As I say, that's all they are. You just sort of got to try and match the profile. I'll get another bit of flat, clean it up, tack it on, and then we can give it a test run. It's a fiddly bastard of a thing because I'm trying to, working by myself, I'm trying to hold it in place with a chair and bits of wood. And anyway, so I want to leave a bit of slack in it so I can do a bit of adjusting with a bit of luck. Well, that's the bumper roughed in, guys. I want just a little bit more of a twist that way. Yeah, I know it's all a bit dinted and shitty up there. What we'll do is we'll panel boot that, get it as good as we can. But that's how the back of it's going to look. A little bit fat. Yeah, a little bit fat, but that's all right. I'll keep my eye open for an XK or XL rear bumper. They actually had the nice curve in them that matched that tail light. So imagine it polished up, cleaned up and all of that. Yeah, that'll be all right. As I say, it's not, the tailgate just shuts nice. Yeah, a little bit of panel beating and dressing, that'll be all right. But yeah, I just want to, just looking at it, it just looks like it wants to go that way a bit. But you get an idea. It's sort of, as I say, I'll open up the holes a bit so there's plenty of adjustment. And then we can start thinking about profiling that to suit the bumper. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, a little, yeah, as I say, a little bit fat, but that'll be all right. Well, they went on all right. Just leave them loose for the minute in case I want to adjust up or down. That looks a bit bloody twisted. Anyway, we'll have a look at that. I might have to do a little bit of forcing. That one looks a bit twisted too. Anyway, I elongated those holes, so I've got plenty of adjustment. Don't know why they look a bit twisted. That doesn't seem right. Anyway, yeah, we'll endeavour to straighten that, I think, before we go any further. Well, there we have it, guys. The bumper's mounted, come up pretty straight. Probably just wants to come up a touch that corner. I'm just looking at the bottom line of the tailgate. Not bad though, the gaps are pretty good. The finger gap in there, I mean, that's all got to be panel beaded, and that'll close that up once that comes out. But the gap along there is not bad. Tailgate, when you drop it down, misses by about bloody 5mm. Not too bad. As I say, I'll polish that up. Underneath, yeah, well, you saw all that. That's sort of come up pretty well. I've got to cut the bolts down, of course. I haven't got enough thread, so I'll just put a couple of washers behind it or something just to take up that last bit of thread. We'll see if I can get the tap to run down a bit further. Anyway, that's about it. That hasn't come up too bad. We can finish off a bit of detail under here. Oh, that's got to be painted and black and that. But yeah, that's not bad. And what we'll do is we'll cut, as I've said before, cut and profile that to suit the bumper. I suppose that's the way to go. I don't know what else to do with it, but I mean, that side's in much better condition. That's not too bad. Imagine it with the tail lights and number plate. That looks fairly bloody smart. Bit of polish and elbow grease, and yeah, it didn't come up too bad. I mean, there's still little spots of rust in the bumper, but I mean, there's little bits of rust in the whole car. Didn't come up too bad. It's changed the whole back of the car. Once that cord is dressed, it'll look good. Yeah, pretty happy with the end result of that. It's, as I say, the gaps aren't too bad. Probably just wants to go up a little bit there. Anyway, it's got to come off again. But I'll probably get some bolts just to cover those blanks too, those holes. But yeah, with the tailgate patinaed, tail lights in, all cleaned up, the back of it's going to look pretty sharp. Well guys, in my last video, I was going to try and put the tank in, and yeah, it all turned to shit. Couldn't work out why, the rubber bit on the bottom kept coming off. Anyway, I had a closer look, and there's this bracket that bolts in there like that. And I'm tipping, I looked, I thought if I take that out and you end up with that gives you a lot more room to get that bloody rubber into place. So I've taken this out, but unfortunately, sorry, I'm trying to do this all one-handed. It's pretty crappy, so and pretty rusty. So we're gonna make a new one out of a bit of this 1.6mm sheet. So I'll mark it out, cut it out, bend it up, drill a few holes, and replace that whole piece. It's as you can see, it's pretty sad. Yeah, not going to muck about with that. It doesn't take long to make a bracket like that. Before and after. As I say, yeah, knocked up a new bracket for that. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, fits all right. What we'll do is I've welded 2 captive nuts. You probably can just make it out. 2 captive nuts. We'll put a bit of black shit in there, some sound deadener. Then we'll bolt this in. It's just mainly I'll put it in first so I can get in behind it. And we'll put that in and deaden the whole lot off. And then got some of this, I can't think of what you call this stuff. Clip lock or bloody hammer weld or something, whatever they call it. And I'll put that along those edges. That way it won't rub through the bottom of the tank. Not that the tank should move, but on a petrol tank you don't want metal on metal where possible. And obviously flexibility in the lines. Yeah, so all right, let's do a bit of, sorry about my finger. Let's do a little bit of black paint in there, sound deadener, prep all that area, and then tomorrow when it's dry we can put the tank back. Well, tank's in, guys. Pulling that bloody bracket down there makes all the difference in the world. Makes it heaps easier to put in. Well, I've got 2 new rust repair sections, guys. Delivered today. Yeah, we're going to have a go. I've never done this. Looks like this goes from about there across and down and around. I might have to fabricate a little bit at the back and blend it in with the inner, something going like that, or I don't know, we'll get to that. Yeah, and that'll tidy up both these rear quarters. So, as I say, there's the section, somewhere there, I think. I don't know, it's a bit hard to see, but I'll scribe it out, line it all up, scribe it out, and see what we come up with. Well, there's our outline there, guys. I'm not going to cut it at that yet because I'll probably cut in a little bit. I'd rather have to remove metal than to try to replace it, if that makes sense. So I'll cut a little bit lower. But what I'm going to do first is, see that's double panel and it's spot welded. I'm going to clean along there because that inner bit stays, and up in here I'll clean along here and try and break those spot welds, and that'll leave the inner lip hopefully, and that's my guide. I think that's the right way to go. The cut along there is pretty self-explanatory, and the back's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, that's as far as my thinking takes me, but yeah, let's have a go. Well, we cut that out without too much drama, guys. I've tried to leave that as a little bit of a reference point. Went well below me mark. Now I've got a little bit of repair work to do in here by the look of it. A little bit of repair work everywhere in this. Yeah, we'll get up in there, we'll treat all that as best we can. Wire brush it, treat it. Got to trim that edge off. That lip, that's still there, so I thought it'd be easier to cut those grind those spot welds with that part of the guard off. So I'll try and make up a little piece to fit in there. Just tidy it up a little bit, make it look a little bit better. And of course all that's got to be done, but I don't want to lose too much of the shape. We'll just see on that, but it's a bit of an experiment here. I'm no expert. Trim all that up, but yeah, we'll clean all that up. The rest of it's pretty solid. Yeah, we'll start having some fun. There's the old part. Yeah, pretty rusty and crappy, as you can see. The things you find, look, there's a little screw trapped in there, and there's all sorts of bloody parts. So yeah, I don't know if I've opened up a can of worms or what, but we've done it now. Well, cleaned up in there and did a bit of a rust repair there. Yeah, I've got to clean up along that edge. That's where the new panel goes. Yeah, rust repair up in there. So that'll be all right. Give it some of that black tar shit, and yeah, should be okay. We've got to trim a little bit more off for that quarter, and we've got to do something about this in here. I don't know what the hell. I may panic. No. Oh, look, the things you find. What have we just found here? A bloody bolt. Look at that, a bolt. Oh, that's one of the old bumper bolts. Get rid of that. Sorry about the camera work. Yeah, dunno. I don't have the tools or the skills to form that piece. But I've got a panel beater coming here in a couple of days, and I might ask him what's going to be the easiest way. See what he thinks about maybe fiberglass. But either way, we've got to stitch this panel back in and stitch it in along the bottom there. Yeah, no, we're going all right so far. Well, there's that quarter tacked into place, guys. I'm not going to weld this yet because I'll probably cut that piece out and, I don't know, blank off the back of this somehow. Obviously got to be welded right along there. I won't weld this yet either because I want to cut a piece out of there and weld it in. So I won't weld that yet. But I can do the rest. I'll put some, I drilled a series of holes and just like little rosette welds under there just to, you know, simulate a bloody spot weld. I've got to fill up that little hole. And then just the other bit's just a bit hard to see. Do a bit of bending and hammering and that just to close all that up. And yeah, a few tacks along there and it's basically in place. It wasn't too hard. Of course, the proof of the pudding will be when we sand that back. And I've tried to follow that lip because I want to use a minimum of filler for obvious reasons, for the look I'm trying to get. Yeah, so it's not too bad. And what I'll do is this lower section, I won't even paint, I'll leave that black. That way it'll match this. That way it sort of blends in with that line. It's not original, but I might as well leave it there. It's part of the patina, so I'll get some measurements and mask it off, which will be along there somewhere. Mask it off, and then the top can be... I've got to try and now somehow match all that. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm almost tempted to... yeah, I don't know. I want to try and see if I can match the colour. But what we can do now is we'll finish welds there and in there. I'll sand it back and start to see how we're looking. Well, I know it looks ugly. That's just soot, should just brush straight off. We've got a weld along there. We really took our time because apparently the worst thing you can do is get too much heat into it. It'll buckle everything. But the lines, I don't know whether you can see that, but they don't look too bad. The plan is to try and replicate... Oh, I've told you all that. What we're going to do now is we're going to grind that back, sand it back, whatever, and just double check it. And then we'll start thinking about cutting a little piece for that. See what we can come up with. I don't know. I'm thinking it'll just be something flat across the back. And fill in that gap. And hopefully the bumper will hide the rest of it. Well, we ground it back. Little bit of a... If you look down the line, you can probably just make it out around there, sort of. There's just a slight woof in it, but you get away with that on this car. But other than that, it ground back nice. There's no filler in that yet. But I can't see any real gaps. A couple there. But that's not bad. I mean, for a guy who knows nothing about panel beating, or most panel beaters have forgotten more than I'll ever know, that's not bad. I'm going to mask this off under here now because I want to keep that paint to match the other side, as I said. So we'll get a couple of measurements, mask it off, and then I can start screwing around with all the rest of the paint once I've finished welding. Well, that's that back quarter basically done, guys. Couple of little spots. That's the patch panel. I've got a couple of little spots of rust here, but we'll fiberglass that up. Slight mismatch there, a little bit of fiberglass there. Just remember that it's all going to be rubbed back like that, right through there. That's that black strip I was telling you about. Just remember, that'll be all rubbed through. That will hide so many silly little imperfections. And number two, if there is a slight dent, you know, that's not the end of the world on this thing. It's not going in America's most beautiful roadster. I'm just fixing up a little panel at the back here. Bloody hard for me to capture that curve because I'm not a panel beater. So I'll put this flat piece in. That'll marry up with the inner guard. And then I'll just put a piece of flat under there, and that'll just be a 90-degree edge, and that'll look suitable. Because the bumper, but you've got to remember the bumper goes over all that. So really I'm just dressing the tail end. So it's sort of starting slowly to look like something. We'll get there. Well, that's that left-hand quarter just about done, guys. As you know, I stitched in the new rust panel and fixed that bit of rust there. A little bit there to do, but we'll glass that. What I've done is I've got some red oxide, which is that stuff, and I've painted all that on. And then I've got some of this white, which is Duramax chalky finish drip-free formulation, and you can get a distressed look out of it. So what I've done is I've given it a few coats of that. Now, it's not a perfect match, you can see that, but I'm tipping by the time I rub that back and bring some of the black and red out to get a similar effect to up there and on the tailgate and all that, it's going to be pretty close. To match that colour is going to be damn hard. So as long as it's pretty close, and with, as I say, rub through in spots, that'll tend to hopefully take attention away from a poor match. I've just sort of flattened off this panel. I'm just waiting for a little bit of filler to dry. We'll fiberglass that up and fiberglass that. That's the original inner guard. Just put in a couple of new bits there. And remember, the bumper's going to hide all of that. So, but it won't look too bad once it's painted and that. It's not fantastic. I mean, I'm no custom expert. My name's not Chip Foose or Boyd Coddington, but I mean, for this poor old thing, it's going to be all right, and it looks a damn sight better than what this does. And this is just about to be started. First thing, as I said, we're going to cut out that, unpick that, and then we're going to try and get in there and do something about that. And if I can get anywhere near what that other quarter is going to look like, I'll be very bloody happy. Well, that's the ugly part off. There it is down there. 60 years of bloody work on an Australian farm somewhere near a Chuka, I think I was told. Anyway, yeah, so that's that panel off. So now we can start to think about getting in there. And I don't know if we can get a porta power and push it out. I might be able to do something with a scissor jack. I don't know what I've got to push against. So we might just start, we'll have a bit of a tidy up. We'll get rid of this strip along there. That's got to come off. Tidy up this section, clean that up. I may have to cut back here a bit more yet. This side's a bit better than the other side. Rusty, of course, but we'll treat all that and grind it back. That'll be fine. A little bit of repair to do there. Yeah, let's get all tidied up and clean up this section, and then we'll know exactly where we're going from there. Well, I'm no panel beater, guys, and yeah, but my thinking at the moment, I've got a scissor jack in there, and I'm just slowly pushing that quarter out. Now, the moment I take it out, it'll probably spring back, but I'll slowly try and work. That's an actual crease. Yeah, if I can slowly work that out, yeah, I'm hoping the rest will follow suit. And that I'm not too concerned about. Yeah, it's just getting up in there that's the problem. But yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll come up with something. Well, I managed to get that crease out, guys. So it's a little bit more tapping, but yeah, I've got the basic shape back there. Wish my skills were better. Anyway, we're going to do a bit of work on this now. I think this is a bit stretched. Anyway, we'll just, yeah, down there. Sorry, film work, Mick. Yeah, that's definite improvement. And it seems to have squared up that tail end a little bit, which is good. Obviously, as I suppose I push that out, it's going to push that way. Bit of a dent there. I'll see if I can, that might be actually there. See if I can belt that out a bit and sort of square that area up. Slowly getting this back into some sort of shape. It's not coming up too bad. I've managed to get that whole main crease out. This is a little bit stretched, a little bit wavy. I know it's not going to matter too much in the scope of things. I mean, there's a dent right there, you know. But I've managed to get back the line. If you look at sort of the curve around the tail light and that bottom curve there, if you sort of look at that and then that, which was undamaged, it's pretty close. Close as it's probably going to get for this old girl. Managed to knock that out a bit. We'll do a bit more beating there, just weld it up. A couple of dents like that I'm not too phased about. It's an old car, the whole bloody thing's got dents in it. Yeah, so we're actually, it didn't come up too bloody bad. It's not perfect, far from it, but as you run your hands down, most of that's not bad, but there's dents, like there's one there, you know, there's some there. I mean, how fussy, sort of looking back at it, how fussy are you going to get with it? So, for a bloke who's not a panel beater, that's not bad. Well, we got that driver's side quarter stitched on. Didn't come up too bad, a little bit, well, very slightly wavy. We'll put a little bit of filler in there, just a couple of spots here, just want to touch a filler. But it hasn't come up too bad, quite solid. Do the same treatment on that side, we'll do that here. I'll put a bit of filler in there first, get that starting to dry. even though the way it is today, it's about 35 Celsius, and yeah, it's warming up. Yeah, but it's lovely, it's summer. And then we've got a bit of, you can see a bit of a hole right down the back there. We'll do a little bit of fiberglass in there. Yeah, but that quarter hasn't come up too bad. I mean, considering what it was, once we get a bit of paint and a bit of patina and a bit of this and a bit of that, I reckon that's going to look pretty good. I mean, for what it was, but yeah, it's, you know, it's a little bit wavy, but oh Christ, how fussy do you want to get? Getting there on this quarter, guys. Got that piece in. Squared that up. That is bloody wider than the other one. I don't know how that's happened, but it has. Just got to do my little piece up in there. Trim that off. Do the piece up in there. And then we can start, yeah, sort of thinking about around the tail lights and that, and getting there. Yeah, come up all right though. I mean, the corner's a little bit of filler on a couple of the joints, but it's a lot bloody better than what it was. Well, it's starting to get there. I'm just mucking around with a bit of white paint. I know it doesn't match. Just mainly to see where I just might want to do a bit of touch up. Just a touch at that seam. Little bit in that corner. Got a bit more work to do in that. I'm just mucking around with paint. But considering that in that area that was dented, there's not one bit of bog in that, I pushed all that out with the jack and hammer and dollies. It's not too bad, and for this thing it'll be fine. Depends on what angle you look at it. You can see a few ripples in there, but Jesus, compared to what it was, I'm pretty happy with that result. There's a bit of a bulge just there, but as I say, for a patina car, sand that back a little bit, bring out some of the red and so on and the panel, and you won't even know that was ever dented, I don't reckon. But yeah, this is a great learning exercise, this. Just waiting on a bit of little bit of body filler and a bit of fiberglassing to dry, and then we're going to really get into finishing off the back of this, except for the tail lights. I haven't got any decent tail lights at this point, but we're going to sort of finish the back off, put the bumper on, and then I can say that the complete back's done. And I'll give the inside of the tub. Just it's this stuff. What is it? Let's have a look here. Pacer, body deadener, brush on. It brushes on like putty. It's as thick as you like, this stuff. Fair dinkum bastard to brush, but it comes up real solid, and should be a good solid bed. I just don't know. I want to, as I say, I didn't go to great pains to sort of mask the sides off or anything like that. I don't know what I'll do with it yet. But I'll do something with the white and sort of tidy it up. But yeah, the back is really starting to look pretty good compared to what it was. And that quarter is $1 million compared to what it was. As I say, once I do that bit of filler and do a little bit of paint on the tailgate, and then I can sort of try and achieve that patina look that I want. Yeah, but basically a lot of that hard work's sort of done. Well, bodywork's basically done right at the very back. Just starting to work on the patina. Bucket of water with a few little, just little cleaning chemicals. Bit of, I think it's about a 300 and a bit of 180 or something, whatever it is anyway, just, you know, something that'll cut the paint back a bit. As I say, in this you can hardly see that there's a dent in that now. In fact, you can see that dent more there, but just starting to work on, oh, that tape's just there to protect the bumper while I'm sanding. Just starting to work on the patina effect. As I say, all I did was put down some red oxide, and then put down some of this Duramax stuff, chalky finish, and it gives a distressed look. The only one that's distressed is the person doing it. Yeah, it's what I'm trying to achieve is, if you imagine the weather's coming down from the top, the sun and all of that. So obviously the top panels would be more weathered than, say, the bottom. So under there, for example, that's not going to be weathered, or like under there, whereas it'd be more weathered there. Hence what I've done here is it's more weathered at the top than the bottom. Now I know the paint doesn't match, and that's the one thing I don't like, but I'm not going to great pains to match all that. So yeah, what we're trying to achieve is, as I say, the sun and the wind and the rain all coming from the top, and or not so bad at the bottom. I don't know if that's right, it's just my take on it. Probably wants a bit more there. But it's starting to look sort of patina. Once I've done it, I'll polish up the bumper and that. And I'll put the bumper on so you sort of get an effect of the lines and all of that. Now I know a nice chrome bumper won't suit a bloody 60-year-old paint job. But you've got to have a little bit of bloody variance in it. But imagine it with the tail lights in. And I may even do a little Ford badge on the back. I've sort of done up to about 1, 2, maybe 3 of those the original little tarp holders. But I think the quarters come up pretty good. I mean, it's, anyway, we'll keep going. And as I say, you've got to imagine it with some tail lights and that. But I reckon that's a huge improvement on what we had. Well, to my mind, that is what it's going to be. I've only sort of patinaed it up to about there, washed it down absolutely thoroughly, dried it off, and then I applied some of this anchor wax, which I keep hearing really good things about. So that's it there. A guy in Melbourne distributes it. So yeah, go and have a look at www.busandbug.com. Really nice fella. I don't think he'll mind saying his name, Brad. And he sends out 1 litre of the anchor wax and full instructions and all of that. That's just had its coat. You brush it on, leave it for 30 minutes, and then just sort of wipe off the excess with a rag. And then it takes about a day to dry, but that's supposed to seal and protect all the patina. Look at that, a bloody bird shitted on already or something. It's in the shed. Yeah, that's it looks good. It's and that's supposed to set up a fantastic coating, and yeah, protect the bloody patina and the rust and all of that. So it's going hopefully it'll retain that look for a few years. The beauty of it is you just sand it back and brings it back nice, doesn't it? That's a patina for you. But that's basically the look of the back of the car. The tail lights have got to be replaced, as you know. That quarter was very sad, as you know, but that has come up pretty bloody good. Look at that, that's not bad. So basically from there back has been done. A little bit more to do underneath. But yeah, that is going to look pretty bloody sharp or bloody awful. I don't know which one yet, but yeah, we'll move on. That's about it for this video, guys. But yeah.
What, guys, one thing I've learnt with doing cars over the years is that people will always come up and say, oh, that's not right, or that looks terrible, or so on and so on and so on. Easiest way to shut them down is say, oh, well, give us a look at your car. And 99% of the time they haven't even got a car, nor have they ever even built one. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, guys. If you think it looks cool, that's all that matters. See you next time, fellas.